Hi everyone, I want to give some tips on how to acquire a lot of gold in Diablo 2. So gold is not exactly a super valuable resource, but it's definitely an important one regardless. The main reason to have a lot of gold is to buy potions, because this is how you fill your mana. So pretty much every build in the game chucks mana potions all the time just to make sure that you can use your skills. So that alone already makes it quite important. But also there are some other perks of having a lot of gold. For example, shopping for certain items at the vendors. So there are certain vendors, especially for caster classes. You have these +2 skills items that you can find on the vendors, which are very good to start with, or in some cases to make rune words with, because you actually get some extra stats and skill bonuses on top of the item you're trying to make. So this is very useful. There are also other reasons to have a lot of gold, which is gambling. So you can go to the gamble vendor in each town and you can try to improve on some items that you are wearing. So especially very early in the game, for example, whenever I enter Act 2, I gamble for like a 2-row build and these kind of things. Or also later when you reach Hell and you need some better items. The gambling items scale with your character level, and so does the gold cost. So they can cost quite a lot. My character is almost level 93 right now, so you can see that the prices are high. So I want to acquire a lot of gold. These items in gamble here are definitely a great way to target farm for certain slots. For example, you can try to get some boots with good stats and faster run walk, or you can get circlet. This one is actually gambled. There can also be +2 skills, for example, on the circlets. So there is a lot of really good yellow items you can get like this. One tip if you're trying to gamble a lot is to make an edge rune word, which is a tear, tal and am combo in a bow or a crossbow. So you can shop these in Act 1 normal from Charzy and get a free socket bow, and you make this and you see the last line, reduce all vendor prices by 15%. This can be very useful. Now, what is actually worth picking up to sell to the vendors? You have very limited inventory space, especially later on when you have a lot of charms in the inventory as well. You usually have maybe half your inventory or maybe a third or even basically nothing, and you only use like a cube to carry items with you that you find. So overall you have to be very resourceful with the little space you have. So you pick up like 2, 3, maybe 5 items depending on how big they are, and then you try to take them with you to town after you're done with a run. So when you're farming somewhere, going through like a little dungeon, or you do like a chaos run or a bale run or something, you try to pick up some of the valuable loot. And you can get a good idea of what's valuable by just talking to the vendors and see what they have and what is valuable to them. And here you can quite clearly see that all these caster weapons that have +2 skills are insanely costly. So here's like 117k, 60k, 80k, 360,000. You see it scales with like the amount of skills it has on them. I think it also scales with the level of the skill. So basically the higher level skills give more. But in general, all these like scepters, wands, and staffs, and all this stuff, also antlers for druids, the helm, and the barbarian helms that have skills, all this stuff sells for a lot to vendors. So always pick this up and check if they have. So you can have an identification term here. You can identify them, see if they have any skills. If not, you just drop it again. Another great thing to pick up when you have leftover space at the end of a run is the heavy body armors. So the light ones like leather armor and etc. are not really worth that much, but you can see that especially those body armors with a lot of defense have insane prices here. This one has 210,000 gold cost. So you don't sell it for the same amount, you sell it for, I don't know, maybe 1/5 of this or so to the vendor, but even 1/5 of this is actually exceeding the gold cap of 35,000 that you can get from selling something. And you can see that it's very easy to reach that in some cases, especially when you reach Nightmare and Hell difficulties and you get the exceptional or elite versions of these items. For example, I have my Dust Shroud here, and if I vendor this I get 30k anyway, just because it has this high defense value and is the elite type from Hell. Obviously these body armors take a lot of space, but it's an easy target to pick up. You don't have to worry about anything, just vendor them and that's it. You can also find like upgraded versions of, for example, crowns later on, the Nightmare and the Hell versions. They usually go for quite a bit. Even some of those belts can go for a decent sum that might actually be more space efficient in the inventory. And obviously when you're starting out the game, and you're like in Act 1 or Act 2 normal, then you don't really have access to this like endgame loot that's worth a lot most of the time. Besides the caster weapons dropping here and there, you can try to maybe sell some of the gems that you find, that's always nice, or rejuve potions, or just all these like special potions in general, so strangling potion, choking potion, these kind of things that you can find from the shrines. Always good to pick up. Also, throwing weapons are usually a very space efficient way of getting some gold early on, so you just pick up like throwing knives and these kind of things and vendor them. So this can give you a good head start in the early acts, and then later on you focus more on these caster weapons. Other types of weapons like melee or bow are usually not worth very much. Even the elite versions of them are not really that great, as you can see. But obviously it depends a little bit on the stat rolls. So when you have like some super high stats like this here, you can see that maybe you might want to pick one up, and you might find a yellow one and you get some good rolls on it. Even like a dagger can be worth 35k. If it rolls some good stats. But I wouldn't really recommend this unless you are really broke and you really need some gold. Here's a nice trick on how to not lose your gold. So in Diablo 2 Resurrected we have those shared stashes, and those shared stashes are actually immune to gold loss. So when you die, usually you lose a chunk of your gold, you lose basically everything you carry, it will be dropped on the ground, and then you also lose a certain amount of your personal stash. I don't know the exact number now, but a little bit disappears when you die, but most of it can be picked up from your corpse. But when you have it in your shared stash, you actually can't lose it. On the other hand, you also can't use it, so you cannot go and buy something from the vendors, but you can just withdraw some. So whenever you need to buy something, you take like 100,000 out or something, and then you just carry it out a little amount. And you can store up to 2.5 million gold per shared stash, and 2.5 million in your personal stash if you want to do that. Now, where would you farm all this stuff? So either you just do it while you're progressing through the campaign, or you do it while doing your endgame farming runs. A very good source of a lot of item bases is also the cow level. So you take a tome and you take the bird's leg from Tristram and equip that, and it will open a cow level, and you can just go slay lots of mumus that will drop a lot of these base item types. And here you can usually do like one run and easily get like 100,000, 200, maybe 300,000 gold, depending on how often you want to go back to town. There are a lot of these cows here, and especially in Nightmare or Hell difficulty, you can get so much stuff. There's also one farming zone where you can find a lot of gold just from drops, which is Travincal. Those council members here before Mephisto actually drop a lot of gold, and if you stack some gold find on your character, especially for barbarians, this can be extremely useful, and you can find potentially up to 1 million or 2 million gold in a run if you kill them on hell with lots of gold find. So this is obviously not happening here right now because I don't have any gold find, and this is Nightmare, but you can see that even here they drop like easy 10k gold already just from killing them, and it took like 20 seconds. And on top of that, you can just pick up some of this vendor trash, identify it, go back to town, and then maybe half a minute or so, you get like 50k easily. So this is everything you need to know about how to get a lot of gold. Hope that this helps you and you enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys next time.